Hello everyone, Rob here with the Arc of Father Time, and we have a wonderful episode today. We're going to talk about believing to see. Now, I must preempt this and say that I am speaking from my own experience. I am speaking philosophically, I'm speaking biblically, but this is my perspective. I have experience with a little bit of this. I've had a near death experience, and that allowed me to piece a few things together. And those things I want to share with you. And I also want to preempt this. I put a video down below. You can actually watch it now before you finish this, or wait till later. If you're at all curious about the holographic nature and if it at all applies to the Bible, this is a great video. It's like 49 seconds long, maybe. And it talks about the phrase "in the beginning" and how that can be interpreted, I believe, through Hebrew and through the Bible as in the Christ or in the wisdom. And I say God is all knowledge. Again, I must say this is for entertainment purposes only. I don't want to get kicked off of any more platforms. Dear Jesus, please don't allow me to get kicked off any more platforms, especially this one. But we'll see if that prayer goes through. The reality is that I speak about things from my opinion, my opining, that tend to go against the nature of material, and the devil loves the details, and I think we get lost in that reality that everybody's zoomed in on all the stuff and their opinions of the angles of things, when the reality is God is all things, and this is his intentional creation. And so we always have the opportunity to see things from both directions, from good or bad. If you're zoomed in on the details, it can often look bad. And then when you pan out, it's like looking at a beautiful painting. If you take a microscope and take it to any corner of a brush stroke, it might be terrifying. It might be unusual. It might be scary. It might be pointless. It might appear as if there's no purpose to that little corner of a brushstroke. But then when you zoom out and you see the big picture, you go, holy cow, I had no idea that I was looking at something so beautiful. And you can see this in every aspect of reality, no matter what's happening, no matter what's going on. There is a bigger picture to it. And to not get so focused and so emotionally attached to the devil's details, we can often pan out and see that these good or bad experiences are for experiences to learn and to move on and to become better people, to become better believers in Christ, better believers in God's ability to have control over a world that sometimes seems out of control. So, believe to see. Believing before you see. In this world, we say seeing is believing. But let's think about that for a second. It's almost as ridiculous as what comes first, the chicken or the egg. As far as I'm concerned, that's a question you ask to society who is lost in this reality, because a lot of people might have a lot of intelligent responses to what comes first, the chicken or the egg, or they may even speak philosophically about the fact that you can't answer that question. And I would offer my opinion and say that's a horrible question. Why in the heck would there ever be a chicken without an egg? And why would there ever be an egg without a chicken? Under no circumstances is it possible for those things to not bring purpose to each other and for them not to be manifested together. Like us. The same exact thing. I have a lot of experience with this because, I was an atheist. I was raised Catholic, and I was an altar boy. I loved, going to church and being an altar boy and hanging with my friends. And we had, some great priests in our church at St. Matthew's out in Arlington, Texas. And I loved the pageantry, and a lot of people, they look, and talk against the ritual aspect of, let's say, the Catholic religion. But I look at it in how you can see everything from both ways. One, feels like a real dedication to God, and the other, it looks like you're doing all these rituals. And the reality is that everybody sees it differently. The parish or the parishioners of the church, they all take it differently, and some are taking it maybe in a more materialistic way, and others are taking it as a complete homage and dedication to the true one and only God. Now, I fell out of that religion because I was a traumatized child. Growing up, I was living in a very, a difficult environment. I also have wonderful, wonderful memories, but my parents were children, raising children, and sometimes it takes us a long time to grow up, myself included, and I would never consider myself to not be, in essence, the mind of a child. I just am a mature child at this point in my life. But, raising kids is very, very difficult for young parents, and that doesn't often allow us that space that we need to grow and become better parents while we're still under their tutelage. Oftentimes our parents become much better as we grow up and get out of the house, and they have time to think, and they have time to find peace. And my parents hadn't completely found peace when I was growing up. And because I was searching for God so hard and I felt like he wasn't there, I became an atheist probably from the age of around 20 till I was probably 25, 26. And at 26, I started getting into the sciences and sensing more faith and sensing God and the strangeness of let's say quantum physics and string theory and all these other things. And as I grew in that, my faith in God became stronger. Now, not in any type of religion. Now, that doesn't mean I was right and it doesn't mean I was wrong. It was just the path that God had me on. And because of that, it was very, very misguided. I didn't have any real direction in where I was heading, but I was a believer. If anybody asked me, do I believe in God? I'd say, yeah, I don't know if it's called God, but I believe that God is all things. And that was a very, very good way of seeing the world. But it didn't stop me from judging his children. It didn't stop me from wanting to be right over wrong. It didn't stop me from lacking empathy and compassion for people that were on the wrong track. When oftentimes these people need more love, more empathy, more understanding. And really understanding is going in and saying, hey, why do you have that perspective? Why do you see it like that, instead of just getting upset by what I perceived to be the right decision? I was believing before I saw it. We live in a world that says, see, and then you can believe. If we really believed this, under no circumstance would it be possible for anybody to invent anything. If everybody believed it or saw it, if everybody waited to believe it after they saw it, nobody would move to any type of creation whatsoever. I tell people, hey, God created, and then he gave us this earth within that creation. Why do we think it's not our job to create? If we believe that we can create, we walk that path to that particular creation. Doesn't matter what you're creating. When we do it for God, we're coming from the right place. It's like when people talk about people selling their soul. Well, what does that mean, to sell your soul? It doesn't seem like we hear sell and we think of a monetary transaction. But look at it from the holographic perspective. To sell your soul. Let's spell it a little bit different. C-E-L-L, and we see a cell as a circular structure. So to sell your soul would be to close off your soul to the one God into material, into the belief of material, into the direction of material, in the hopes for more material. So you can't really sell it monetarily, but you can sell it for monetary growth. But all this stuff is changing, and it's always shedding, and it's always growing into something new. So when we isolate ourselves into this belief of material, we stop our soul from being able to grow. It's like, I had Christ is risen written up here. But it's also Christ is risen. Past tense, he's risen. This is not new. And Christ is rising. He's rising in all of us. Everybody is in their own time. This is why it's important to pan out and see the big picture. Because if people are struggling, Christ is rising. If people are at peace and they know God, Christ is risen. When Christ is rising, we're looking at the devil's details, and that's okay. Everybody's going to go through that in their life. But what's the devil, right? Devil's in the details. So, devil is in the details. No, you be good to me. Okay, there we go. Details. Details. Or details. Or details. And 4 million other possible combinations, I'm sure. Well, the devil's in the details. We say the devil has a tail. Well, that's a detail. We also believe that this has already been done. So if this has already been done and you're telling us lies, you're telling us tales. And then the devil tells. That's the verb, he's doing it now. He's telling us that this is material, and so we're falling for the devil. All these things are, in essence, past tense, especially when it's all been done. A tale is a story. Past tense. Past tense. So what is that? What is the past tense? I'm gonna spray this real quick. Maybe I'll cut it. Maybe I won't. It just depends. This thing is so difficult to work with sometimes, but I thank God for it. I was so excited to get a blackboard that I could, draw, because I see, this whole thing is kind of like the knowledge of God and all this, the Son of God, all the writing, and that's a good thing. I think when we get lost in the details, it's in essence the devil, and when we focus on creation, we're focused on the Son of God. I'm going to take these out too. Actually, I'm going to take it all out. I'm going to take it all out. Okay, so it's all a mess. I'm definitely cutting some of this. Okay. Okay. All right. All right. All right. All right. Beautiful. I cleaned it so nice. I cleaned it so nice earlier, and I was all excited, and I just made a huge mess. But I'm probably not going to have to use this too much. I don't want this to be a super long video. I say, Rob, they don't want to sit here for an hour listening to your jabber. And then I say, okay, I'll just do 10 minutes. I don't know if I've ever made a 10-minute video. I just can't do it. So I apologize. But I'm going to try to make sure that this doesn't last that long. I don't really want to focus so much on that. But invention, I mean, think about it. You know, it's like, oh, we're gonna have steaks tonight. Oh yeah, I'll believe it when I see it. Well, you got to drive to the steak, and you have to have some sort of faith that you're gonna get that steak. Oh man, I want steak. So here we go. Devil. What's the devil? Devil is in the details, which is all past tense. Devil tells stories. Devil. Let's do this. Is devil just lived. It's just the past tense of living. Well, what's living? Well, only through Christ are things new. So living would be to make things new. It would be to create. It would be to love. It would be to create memories with your children. It'd be to create memories with your friends. It'd be to call your friends, and whatever is weighing on your mind. You pick up the phone, like I called my kids when I hadn't talked to my kids since they were 3 months old. I don't even think they remembered me. And I called them and I said, "Listen, I screwed up. I had a difficult childhood. I had a difficult life. I made a lot of mistakes, and I thought that running off and becoming rich would somehow make you guys happy. And I just want you to know, I love you." And they were like, "What? You love us? We didn't even know you. That's good to hear. Would you like to meet up?" And we meet up, and it's been wonderful. I see my daughter next week. I'm super excited about it. In 2 weeks, she'll be here. And I'm super excited to see my grandchildren. I see my son, at least once every few weeks. We kind of live all a little kind of far apart. But I stopped living in the past. And I said, can I do something now? Can I do something today? And then I died. And God said, just call your kids, bro. So I did. I called my kids. I think we all have stuff that weighs on our heart that we're just kind of putting off to the side and hoping that it'll just go away. Don't let that become too late. I don't believe it's ever too late in the sense that, people can pass away and, we have regrets that we weren't able to say certain things to them. But when you know that God kind of gives us the whole universe from our little star, our reflection, or our soul, you can connect to those people. Now, talking to the dead is one thing, but creating a new memory and a prayer or a conversation or a message to give to your loved ones is something that you can do within your heart. If you just ask God, put it in God's direction. Like talking to the dead, they say don't talk to the dead, and I agree with that. I don't talk to the dead. I pray to the living that exists within us with God's guidance, and I don't sit down. I'm talking about just praying to my grandparents. If you've watched my other things, like the tragedy that happened with them, I want to make sure that I don't have any messages or any things that I want to say left unsaid, even if they're not here. And I understand when you're trying to conjure up things, and a lot of people say, well, spirituality and blah 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 and all these religions and meditation and all this other stuff is bad. If you have it directed in the wrong direction, stillness, yes, can be bad. You might be focusing on gods and not the one God. If you're using it to acquire certain things, you are trying to utilize material. And that utilizing of material within the stillness can get people in trouble. That doesn't mean that they're always going to be on a bad track, or that they're never going to be able to find the one true God and realize that Christ is the Son whom which all things are created. For a lot of people, meditation is a wonderful thing. A lot of people, stillness is a wonderful thing. And when it is directly applied to the reality that there's one God who created all this, then then you're creating from within a truth, because Christ is the truth, the life, the way. The law of attraction is literally just walking as Christ, which is obeying the golden rule. Loving your neighbor. Loving the world that God gave you and not loving the things of the world. It's okay to have stuff. It's okay to have material. It's okay to have money. But where's it coming from? Are you doing the best that you can to share and to help others? Are you not judging the people that are suffering? Whether they are suffering because they're angry or whether they're suffering because they're sad. Everybody has a story. To imply that we can have an opinion about them without knowing their story, that's the devil's details. The devil is focused in on the past tense, that which is not new. So focus on creating wonderful memories with wonderful conversations with wonderful family and friends and people. Having compassion, knowing that they're oftentimes lost in the past tense. God is good always. Yes, there is friction. Yes, there is stress. But that also exists in the stroke of a brush for a masterpiece of a painting. The friction and stress can be looked at in two different directions. The devil's details, ow, that hurts, or the big picture of God and wow, that was worth it. I think this is going to be a short one. There's so many other things to talk about too. But if you have any questions, please feel free to ask. I always say I'm horrible at asking for likes and subscribes. I would like to go live and do Q&As at one point, but I gotta have so many subscribers. So, but until then, I'll be excited just to talk about the things that I choose to talk about until I get some suggestions. So anyway, I hope you have a blessed day. Christ is within. Christ loves you. God loves you. My name's Rob. This is the Ark of Father Time, and I hope you have an amazing, amazing, blessed day. Thank you.